Why do people really go for an MBA? That's what we're going to talk about. My belief is that people mistakenly go thinking that if they get the degree, they can, say, "Oh, I got an MBA. I should be getting a raise, a promotion, a new job." Um, that may or may not work. But my view is why people go and get an MBA is they want the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities. The thing is, you don't need to spend 2 years and $200,000 to go and get an MBA. You can get that knowledge, that skill base, and those abilities in a much shorter time frame. And let me share with you what I have in mind. I typically do things when I'm trying to learn something new in what I call little sprints. And I'm famous for doing it over the course of a weekend. And let me lay that out for you, how that works. I'm basically sharing some of my secret sauce here, what I do to, do a surge. So day one, I usually do day one on a Friday. What do I do on that day? I will go and review the basic concepts, models, frameworks, skills, processes. And what I'm trying to understand is what are the basic foundations? What are the building blocks? So when I go and I do day one, again, it's me getting started with the basic information that you need. Then on day two, usually a Saturday for me, what I will do is I will reinforce some of that knowledge, that understanding. And the way I do that is I will actually start to apply it. And how do I do that? Well, if I've learned a bunch of, models, concepts, skills, I sit there and go, okay, how do I use these things? And I start to put them into buckets. Um, let's say I'm learning about change management, and I get the basic understanding of certain things, some of the resistance that you will encounter, ways to counter that resistance, and I will start to put together a plan. And the way I will build that plan is I will look at what is the current situation, the current state versus the desired state. And when you sit down and you look at it from that perspective, okay, what do I have to do to go from the current state to the desired state? And what components of what I've learned are going to make sense when I sit down and do that. So that's what I will do on day two. When it comes to day three, that's when I start to look at, and that's on a Sunday usually, I start to look at what it is that I've put together. And I start to decide how am I going to present this in the form of a deliverable. So when you sit down and look at it from that perspective, okay, let me organize this into some kind of a report. You might want to do two. What two reports? I might recommend you do a basic report that someone can read, and then you turn around and do a presentational deck. Now, I'm going to, provide information on doing presentations on this channel. But the thing is, you don't need a crazy deck that's 40 pages long, nor do you need a report that's 40 pages long. Most reports could be 10 pages or less. And if you are going to think in terms of a deck, I tend to do decks between 6 and 12 slides. And I don't do eye charts when I do these slides where it's filled, to the brim with information. I put the concepts in and I have the two ways of presenting it, either in the form of a report or I have it in the form of a basic presentation. And let me give you a quick model for the presentation. One of my favorite models to use is what I call the 5WH model. And it's kind of derived from, journalism, where they talk about, the five Whys. Or I'm sorry, not the five Whys, the five W's. And it goes like this. What is it that I did? Why did I do it? Who does it impact? When and where can it be used or applied? And then I get into how. How do we implement this? And what result can we expect? And that's the basic game plan, so that when it comes around to day four or Monday, you can go to your job, for example, and go to your supervisor and say, hey, I took it upon myself. I did this, change management, assessment and report and analysis, and I've got some recommendations. And that is basically the whole thing in a nutshell. Start on day one, getting the basic foundations. Day two, start working on implementing or applying. Day three, tighten it up in terms of a concrete deliverable, either in the form of some kind of a report and or a deck that you can show. And on day four, go and actually present it. You do that kind of thing, you're changing your value structure in the eyes of your superiors. And with that, you can then seek the outcomes that most of you go and get an MBA for in the first place. What is that? You want a raise, you want a promotion, or you want a new job. These are the things that you can get by doing this simple process. And as I say, when it comes to learning these things, here on the MBA Accelerator, we're going to show you exactly how to do that. If you're interested in learning this kind of stuff, I would suggest that you subscribe. At the very least, please give this video a like and share it with somebody else. I always say to people, don't keep us a secret, share it. Let other people know that what we're doing. If you are very interested in doing this in a super accelerated component where you can do the whole process in a 4-day sprint or over the weekend, join the waitlist to the 8 to 12 hour MBA Accelerator that you can do over a weekend. It's going to be coming out in approximately 3 to 4 weeks, and I'm looking for about 10 beta testers to have them tested out so I can refine it a little bit. But the bottom line is, if you're interested in this, please consider doing those 3 things. Look for the links, and we will see you the next time. Thanks.